All right, what's up, my friends? Welcome. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Pro Tour, March of the Machines, my story. I'm going to be recapping the Pro Tour right now and kind of just going over the Pro Tour, some pictures from the event leading up to it. Quite the roller coaster, honestly. I see here we started out, flying to the event on this was Monday of a week ago. I'm still pretty sick. We'll get to that a little bit, but something a little scatterbrained as usual, or more than usual, I apologize. So, fly out on Monday to the testing house, meeting up with the usual crew, obviously, and super, super lucky, as always, be testing with the CFB guys, CFB and friends. We had 16 people in the house this time. We added a few friends from Europe and stuff, which is super cool. And it was our shopping trip when we first got there. Get there, check out the Airbnb, gotta go shopping, and there we are for our very first draft. Of course, we added BK, I got Sam Party, we got Will over there, Jakob, Gabe, Caroline's in the background, and we had 12 people overall coming in across the house. It's hard to describe how lucky I am to work with these guys, like you're just the literal best Magic players ever played the game, and then me. And here I am somehow, but it's pretty sweet. So lots of drafting. Drafting was definitely interesting because we had to do the Pro Tour style draft where, for some reason, at the Pro Tour, what they made you do for the draft is because there's just the double face cards. They had everyone reveal the 2 double face cards they open, and then you sleeve your entire pack. Kind of odd. In practice, it worked out fine, I guess. But definitely interesting. Here we are revealing the cards. You can see I have an Atali, so I'm smiling, obviously. And kind of a weird, choice, honestly. They could have just, had everyone had the packs sleeved initially, or not sleeve the packs, or whatever. It's just weird, honestly. I would personally think you would want to just sleeve the packs entirely, and then not have any reveal period at all, but whatever. It was what it was, so that was how we practiced it. BCW sleeves everywhere, thanks for that. And, Seth, Logan, the Sam, just testing standard, doing drafts. We definitely drafted too much, I think. It didn't test standard enough, which we'll talk about as far as deck selection went. But, moving along, we had, LSV showed up. We had with Toffel and Arnie Huschenbeth from Europe. We had Mengucci showed up. We got Ely, Reed. Having the Pro Tour champion team is pretty cool, obviously. And just a pretty awesome experience, obviously. I showed up to this event really, really stressed out and really, really burnt out because I had done 80 hours worth of content the week prior to try and prepare for the trip itself or whatever. And I was shot when I got there. And the Rangers lost to play the game 7, and I was pretty shocked, but hanging out for a day or two, with all these guys is just incredible. And super, super fortunate to do that. And you can see here again that we had to crack open our BCW sleeves for the drafting. # sponsor, get them for yourself. I don't bullshit when I say that these are the sleeves that I use. There they are. These are actually Ely's because they're gloss fronts. I like the matte fronts. Ely brought 2 boxes as well. But it's lots of drafts, a lot of fun, and you can see the house. House is really nice too. Honestly, it's really, really cool. Hanging out, which is super cool. And that is a beer pong table. We were using it for Magic, not for beer pong, obviously. And yeah, so we vacated the house on Thursday. We stopped into Level Up Games to do one last draft and pick up some cards. And super, super nice store, honestly. It was really, really cool. It's this downstairs little dungeon, and they have a cool gaming area. Everything's really, really rustic and cool, which is super cool. So did one last draft. That was really, really good. Went 2-1. I lost to Reed, who 3-0'd. And this is us at dinner. We went to this place called Hell's Kitchen, and they serve the juicer or something like that, which is a burger, or the Lucy Juicy or something. I don't know what it's called exactly. Someone in chat will get me. But it's a burger with the cheese. It's like a cheeseburger with the cheese in the middle of the burger, rather than on the top. A Juicy Lucy. And they didn't freaking warn us about it. So I bite into my burger and freaking cheese jerks out, blahs out on the table. Luckily, it hit the table and not Ely. Arnie was not so lucky because Brent bit into his burger and it got all over Arnie's pants. Mengucci burned his hand. We were all very, very unhappy, honestly, because no one warned us this was going to happen. And Mengucci's hand is burned. Arnie had one nice pair of pants on the trip. They were ruined. We were very, very unhappy about it, honestly. So the food was only and not being warned about the Juicy Lucy, and the server was they just did the food runner warn you? And I was no. And normally I'll never throw a food runner under the table, a service worker under the table at all. But I was no, they didn't. This is ridiculous, So Ely was really lucky too, because I almost got him real bad. But whatever. So we go to the event. We go to the player party, which is super cool. Did an interview with Cedric. Got to meet up some people I haven't seen in a while, which is super awesome. Saw BDM and a number of folks, which was really, really cool. And but then it's time for the Pro Tour on Friday morning. So wake up, have my hotel room, get up nice and early, walk down. Kind of a quiet city during the weekend. Honestly, some cities are like that. Charlotte's also like that, where it's very quiet during the weekend. But walked over to the convention center. You can see there's the thing, and it was time to play some Magic. So deck selection. I guess I'll mention this before. So we couldn't decide on a team deck for the event. We broke into 3 camps. Seth had been playing this Rakdos Breach deck for almost the whole testing process, and he was all about it, was playing it no matter what, and he sold Reed, me, Jakob, Will, and Raph on playing it. So there were 6 of us playing Rakdos Breach. A lot of the Europeans were playing just regular Grixis mid-range, Mengucci, Toffel, Arnie, Logan joined them. Might have had one more, I think. And then Luis, Brent, Sam Party, BK, and a few others played a Grixis Reanimator deck based around Amonkhet Innovation. Here's the deck they played, which is based around Invasion of Amonkhet, kind of a Reanimator deck with a bit of an Invasion slant, which is kind of cool. It was not mid-range, it was Reanimator. So they all played that deck, and then Ely just played like Rakdos Reanimator, which kind of like went rogue from the team, which is kind of weird. So that was the team spread of decks. The Breach deck seemed pretty good. Again, definitely didn't play enough constructed. I don't think. I mean, we drafted too much. We also were there for a few less days than we were for the PT that Reed won, where for that one we like all worked on a creativity deck for like 4 or 5 days straight. This one I felt like we kind of just drafted and didn't really do a great job of constructed. Is what it is, So show up to the site. The hall is awesome. I didn't actually see the rest of the event hall. I only saw the Pro Tour area. Basically, this is the Pro Tour area. So we walk in. They had this really cool arena booth set up where later in the videos was running arena demos and stuff like that, which is super cool. And then I stopped by there, got the Jaffer, one James, Elliot Dragon, and got to meet the Michaela under the B mask there, and which is really, really cool. But time to play in the Pro Tour, right? Pro Tour, nothing like it. You haven't played in a Pro Tour before. Go play some RCQs, As he said, the desk over there really is nothing like a Pro Tour, where you're just in a room with 200 to 300 of the best players in the world of this thing that you do, that millions of people do. And maybe you're not one of the best, tournament players in the world, but you just qualify for this one Pro Tour and you're there and it's awesome. And it's such a great feeling, and there's an air of excitement and importance in the room. Everyone's working so hard for this. The think about the amount of hours for the players in the Pro Tour that went into it preparation-wise is insane, and there's this real feeling of importance. It just feels awesome. Everyone's vibing. It's really, really great. And walk in, took some pictures, and get it ready to rock and roll. The Pro Tour starts with a draft. There's a March of the Machine draft, 3 rounds of that, and then 5 rounds of standard. And then 4-4 or better cuts to day 2. So if you have a 4-4 record or better, you make day 2, and day 2 is the exact same structure. So, metagame breakdown. We were a little surprised, honestly, by how much Rakdos midrange there was. We thought Esper Legends would be a little more popular, as would Grixis midrange. We were pretty surprised by White being so lowly represented. Honestly, we thought it'd be a little more than that, although not doing very well. You can see we're on there as Rakdos Breach. There was one other Rakdos Breach player in a tournament who just had a similar deck to us, which is kind of weird, honestly. Seth played him and was like, how do you have our deck? It was really, really weird. So you can see the breakdown here, of course. And overall, we were okay. We thought our Rakdos mid-range matchup was better than it was, which will, spoiler alert as we comes to there. But yeah, so metagame, obviously a lot of Rakdos-based stuff. Veil of the Mirror Breakers, probably too good for standard, honestly, but whatever, we'll get to that. So, not there yet. We're drafting. So, let's hop on over to my main thing. So, draft number 1. And I'm going to go over these a little more closely for a breakdown on the Bronze Mythic channel, where I go over the drafts a little more depth. But open up Elesh Norn. It's a fancy foil, whatever, showcase Elesh Norn. And I see a couple of invasions of Lauren Low open to the table because everyone's revealing cards. And I'm like, I love 4-color, 5-color green decks. So took the first pick Elesh Norn, committed hard, second pick Blighted Burgeoning, and here we are. Deck was quite good. Again, I'll do a full review of the deck on the Bronze Mythic channel, but very, very happy with the deck overall, honestly. And it went 3-0. So great first draft. Yeah, I'll go over the draft specifics a little bit more in the Bronze Mythic video, but pretty crazy draft overall. First round was pretty solid win. The third round was very, very close. One was black-red, but took it down. And very, very happy with the deck. I think this is definitely what a good multicolor deck looks like. I had 1 or 2 stinkers in my deck. Perfection wasn't really great in the deck, obviously. It's not super exciting. But all in all, very, very happy with the deck. Good mixture of ramp, life gain, removal spells, and so on and so forth. And I also boarded into red. I boarded out the blue into red about half the games. Again, I'll go over that a little more in the thing. So 3 of draft, super, super happy about that. And then it was on to constructed, where so we saw a breakdown of the should that I played too. Actually, hold on. The deck that I played would be useful too, right? So this is the deck that I played in the event, Rakdos Breach. Basically, Rakdos mid-range with a bigger slant. Breach the Multiverse, pretty powerful card. 7 mana, mill 10, get a creature back for free. Atali, also a great thing to hit. And then similar game plan to Rakdos, obviously Chandra, Copy, Invoke Despair, and then playing Big Sword to bridge the gap. So ideally, against Rakdos in kind of mirror-esque matchups, we have the ability to kind of go bigger, which is usually how you win the mirror, honestly. They can't really counter your breach or something like that. In practice, they burned us out a lot, which we'll get to, but that was the deck list. So, play round 1, I find 4 of the 8 copies of Alablaster Host Intercessor in the tournament. We saw on the metagame breakdown, they listed the new cards that were being played, and there were 8 copies of Alablaster Host Intercessor in the tournament in constructed. And we were like, what? Who's playing that card? But blue eye control deck, playing 4 of these to go get your Triomes, and using the Triomes to play Lay Down Arms and Leyline Binding as their removal spells. Got us a blue eye control deck. Took it in 3. Kind of some close games, honestly, but I think on the play, our deck was definitely favored and worked out pretty well. In round 2, I get called up to the stage for a feature match. I'll be doing a match review of my feature matches in a different video when I'm feeling better and I can actually analyze a little better. But playing against Luis Scott Vargas, this was actually my first ever paper Pro Tour feature match. Maybe surprising. Obviously, I have had feature matches at Worlds, which is on Arena. Set championships, I had feature matches, obviously, when I was doing well. Players Championship, Grand Prix, SG Tour, all of those. Never actually had a paper Pro Tour feature match before. And it's against Luis, my teammate, which is obviously a pretty heavy, so I'm full disclosure, I was pretty nervous, honestly. I figured all I've done in the game before. Whenever you do a new thing, you're always going to be nervous, And I was a little bit nervous going to the match, honestly. Full disclosure, I'm not ashamed to admit that, obviously. People ask me advice about, maybe my first top 8, and I was really, really nervous. What do I do? It's like, well, whenever you go into a new thing, you're going to be nervous, period. Experience is the only way to beat that. So you just need to kind of do it, and then just do it again, and just kind of keep going. But won a pretty close game 1. And then game 2, Luis was kind enough to mulligan to 5 for me. And then he actually had a really good hand. I was able to set up a few copies of Cruelty Gix chained up. But I was able to draw my Cruelty and steal his Atraxa. I was also drawing to Invoke Despair and Trespasser also on a bunch of draws. So able to take the match down. Again, big thanks, Luis, for mulligan to 5. It was very, very kind to him to do that for me on my first ever feature match. So next round, I play against Joe Set. No feature match. Obviously, they would never want to have 2 SCG Tour Players Champions in the feature match area together. And Joe's playing Mono Blue, which is very surprising, honestly. I like this list a lot. I don't think that Mono Blue is particularly great, but his list was very, very clean. I liked a lot of things he was doing, playing C-Double, not playing the full 4 Tolarian Terrors. We had a close match where I mulliganed game 1, and then I just cast Fable on turn 3, and it just resolved. Which was very surprising to me. And the game snowballed from there. I lost game 2, really, really close game. And then game 3, I was able to win. I think just being on the play is just super huge in a matchup like this. So I beat Joe and move on to 6-0. And who's next for me? Just Shadow Ahsoka in the actual main stage feature match. So my LSD match was a backup feature. This was on the main stage feature match. Shadow Ahsoka, one of the best Magic players of all time. Not that Luis is not, but also one of the best Magic players of all time in Shadow. And very stoic, very methodical. And we were waiting for a while here. It was pretty cool because Tan and Grace, good friend of mine, was doing the coverage running, and he was the guy who was entering our hands. You can see Frank Karsten's on Shadow's side, and then Tan was on my side. And we were waiting for a while, so Tan took a picture for us. Super cool. And it was a really fun match. He was playing Esper Legends, no deck list, just Esper Legends, it wasn't really anything crazy. Super close game 1 where I had to dig for a go for the throat because I was dead on board. I found it after a bunch of draws, which was really, really cool. And crazy games. Again, I'll go over the games in a full match review at a future date. It'll be on YouTube and my stream, obviously, but I'm just not really in the headspace to do that now. A crazy match. I win, which is wild. So now I'm 7-0 in the tournament. And I think there's only one other 7-0 player, so undefeated going to the last round, which is pretty insane, honestly. So walk off stage. I've now had two of my first two ever paper Pro Tour feature matches against two of the best players to literally ever play the game, and won both of them. So I'm feeling pretty good. And spoiler alert. And I played against Pedro. I forgot his last name, but really cool dude. I actually played him twice in the tournament. And he was playing Esp Legends also in the last round. I won a match. We were both pretty tired, honestly. It was pretty obvious we were both pretty tired and hungry. It was a long, long day. At that point, it was like 8:30, and we had started the first draft at 9 a.m. So it had been a 12-hour day of just, grueling, grueling magic. Pedro Perini, if I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Really cool dude from, I don't remember where he was from exactly. He told me where he was from. I don't remember exactly, but super cool guy. And I played him again on day 2. We'll get to that in a little bit. I defeated him as well. And boom, there it is. The only undefeated player at the end of day 1, and was in Brazil, awesome, and was feeling pretty good, honestly. Obviously, it's weird because I was talking to Seth afterwards, and I was just like, I don't feel like I'm much better at Magic now than I was 10 years ago. I think I'm worse now, honestly. Like when I was playing Pro Tours consistently in like the late 2000s, I was playing Moto 8 hours a day. I thought I was much sharper, but I've just been doing pretty well, I don't know. So it is what it is. Played well. Definitely hit my spots for sure. Obviously Shadow Mulligan against me, Least Mulligan twice against me. I hit my spots here and there for sure, no question. Definitely ran well. You got to run well to go 8-0. But so there it is. So I go to bed on Friday, feeling like $1,000,000, just feeling good. And then Sunday happens. If you weren't following along on social media, prepare yourself because it gets pretty fucking ugly. I'll curse. So Saturday morning, strolling. I got a good night's sleep, had a good breakfast, strolling to the hall, and it's time for the draft pod. Right, so we do a draft again. This time I'm on stage. Pod number 1, an absolutely stacked pod. I am at 8-0, and there are 7 other players who are 7-1 at my pod. And here we are on the stage. You got our packs ready to go. There's the pod. You can see Simon Nelson. A lot of players are top 8'd. Simon Nelson, Nathan Storer, Javier Dominguez, Carl Sarap, Pedro, of course, from my last round. And a pretty stacked draft pod here, but, totally cool. And this draft didn't go as well. Again, I'll go over the exact draft itself in my complete review of that for the Bronze Smithy channel. But it was just a pretty underpowered, awkward draft. They covered Nathan's draft, and you can follow that from Nathan's side. And I was funny because I watched it and I was happy to see that the packs were kind of weak, honestly, because it felt like a weak draft overall. I think I first picked like Sandstalker Mulak or something out of like a really weak pack. I think that I was a little excited about green because people didn't really like green that much in our drafts. I really liked the multicolored green decks, and I was still kind of riding the high of the first draft deck, and I really like drafting in a way that leaves myself super open to open good rares. There are tons of rares in this set, and it just like didn't really happen. Just kind of like, not super strong overall packs. I opened Invasion New Phyrexia in pack 2, took it, obviously, and then I was able to splash it, but just like a pretty underpowered, it was a scrappy deck. My curve's pretty good. I have, whatever, 5/2 drops, corruption's pretty good also, some flyers and stuff like that. But the games did not cooperate. Again, I'll do a full review of the draft itself, in the Bronze Smithing thing, but lost round 1 to Simon Nielsen. He had the Glistening Deluge, the -3/-3 to all white creatures. Turn after I cast Invasion. He had Sheoldred. He just crushed me. His deck was, it's funny because his deck was really good. And then in preparation for this, I was looking at Melee. He actually won 2. He only beat me. His deck seemed great. So then I played against Carl Sarap. Also, a match that was covered, which I'll go over. We had a crazy long match, where game 1 I won. Game 2 I mulliganed like 5 or something and just like drew 12 lands or whatever. And then game 3 we played a super long game where I like might have made a mistake with my invasion that LA Dragon pointed out to me afterwards. We'll go over it, obviously, but lose a really, really close game where the last 8 cards in my deck were small spells, whatever. And then in the last round, I played against Pedro again. But Pedro, in his draft, was 1-0-1. So he was actually undefeated, and I was 0-2. That's how pairings work, though, because it's paired by your record in the tournament, not in the draft. So I was 8-2 at that point, and he was 8-0-1. Or no, I'm sorry, 8-1-1. So our records in the tournament were close, but in the draft itself, he was 1-0-1 and I was 0-2. And his deck was good. He was like mono blue. And the games he won, he just stomped me. So he stomped me out with his mono blue deck, went 0-3. I don't think this is an 0-3 deck, but it's the Pro Tour at the highest level. You know, anything's an 0-3 deck, I guess. I don't think the deck was very good, but I don't think it was like awful. I think I should have scrapped the win out. But so the draft goes pretty badly. It was an unintentional draw. No, it was unintentional. And so the draft goes pretty poorly, obviously. But I'm still 8-3, which is not a bad place to be at the Pro Tour. You need 12 wins to make top 8. So I would need to go I need to go 4-1 over the last constructed rounds to make top 8 of the tournament. And then, spoiler alert, I did not. I won a single match over the rest of the day. Just couldn't really buy a break. I'm sure at some point I just stopped playing well because I was getting a little rough, a little roughhoused. I played against Ichikawa playing Grixis Reanimator. Let me see if I can get the melee up. Did I close melee? I closed melee. Oh yeah, so I lost to Ichikawa playing Reanimator, where like on the last possible turn of game 2, I like was trying to string together a win with a Chandra, and I like cast a Chandra. He has to sack up blood going to 2 with my shoulder in play and finds a negate for the Chandra and survives. It was just like, it was rough. I won the next round against Ragnas mid-range, which is very, very important because that was the 9th win that qualified me for Barcelona, which is very, very important. So now I'm queued for Barcelona. Then I lost a whole bunch of more matches. I played Brent, my teammate, in the last round. He mulligans a 5 game 1 and I beat him, and then he just beats me in game 2 and 3. My hands were a little rough. Just like a really, really rough day. Well, complete opposite of day 1, obviously, where basically everything that could go wrong went wrong. And I think that my 5th loss was against Willie Adel. It's obviously very good also. And I just he mulliganed a 5 in game 1 and just beat me. I kept Duress, Bankbuster, Invoke Despair, 4 lands. I cast Duress turn 1. His hand was Bankbuster, Fable, Trespasser, 2 lands. Take the Buster, draws a land, cast Fable on 3. I draw land, 7-drop, 7-drop, and I just died. I just never cast a spell, basically. He Duress my Invoke, and I just died on turn 6 with 7 drops in my hand or whatever, just all lands. And just could not buy a win, obviously. And I'm sure I could have played better at points. It's a bit frustrating, obviously, overall to lose over and over and over again. But so in the end, I lose to Brent. I finished 9-7. That was good for 55th place or something like that. Won $1,500. Queued for the next Pro Tour, which is great, obviously. It's good to have the nice rod or whatever. It's good to be queued again, my teammates. The team was doing very well on day 1. We had Luis, Seth, and Reed all at 6-2. And then, unfortunately, day 2 didn't work out super well. Reed lost 2 win-ins in a row after starting out 0-2. Freaking Reed. Reed's unbelievable. Dude starts 0-2 in the tournament, rallies back to play for 2 win-ins in the last 2 rounds. And, it's crazy. But didn't put any players in top 8. Rough day 2 all around for basically everyone. But still queued Barcelona in good standing to make Worlds, hopefully, if I do well in Barcelona, which is pretty cool. So that was my Pro Tour. We all got out to dinner. It was me, Seth, Reed, Ely, Seth's friend, what's his name? Nate Fennelly is a streamer, actually. Got to meet him, which is cool. And then Gab. Went to his fancy steakhouse, got a nice dinner. And near the end of dinner, my throat was a little bit tickly. Just a little bit the allergies, whatever. Get back to my room Saturday night, and I'm like, ooh, I don't actually feel so good. And had a pretty bad night. Was obviously kind of sick. Stayed home on Saturday, just stayed in the hotel room on Sunday. Missed the entire con. I didn't see any of the event hall, aside from the Pro Tour area on Sunday. Didn't see anything, because I just was in the Pro Tour area. I was like, Sunday, I'll do my content creator thing. I'll walk around, check everything out. Super, super cool. Nope. Just sick in the hotel room the whole time. Felt a little better on Monday. Masked up, went to the airport, flew home. Got home, And the second I got home, obviously, take a COVID test, and bam. So I've been sick. So I've been sick and isolated now in my house from my family. I haven't seen in a week and a half. Pretty wild, like, woo, up and down from literal top of the world on Friday to literally just laying in bed Sunday like a piece of garbage. Yeah, so pretty wild event overall. The highs and the lows, pretty crazy, but that's my Pro Tour. And yeah, not a very good Saturday. So I'm fine. I'm all right. Like I'm just a little sick. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah. So pretty crazy. Luckily, no one else got sick either. Because like I messaged everyone, obviously, as soon as I found out I was sick, and everyone was all fine. So it was cool. But yeah. So now I'm home, back to doing content. And that's my Pro Tour wrap. Again, I'm gonna do a separate content for match reviews of my constructed, and then go over my draft decks. Obviously, I'll go over those. And then we got the Aftermath full set review coming up on stream today. 5 new brews for Aftermath, and yada, yada, yada. So that's the Pro Tour run. You two folks, love you. Like, comment, subscribe, and whew, damn, so close.